Good evening, gentlemen. Today we're going to scientifically dismantle this loser Jeremy Financial Education's investment philosophy. But first, let's play a little clip here.
5 and 9.5 is not going to be that much difference. But you can't risk losing 9.5 would be so much worse than the amount of enjoyment you get out of betting 5 or whatever.
I'm going for billions.
Why?
I'm playing a different game. I don't want to be stupid rich. Like you can't even imagine like how much money I have. Like just crazy. So that's where I'm trying to go.
I mean, I think you're.
All right, so this man wants to be a billionaire and is completely, just absolutely delusional. And I'll prove it here in about like 5 minutes. So, first thing is I encourage you to go watch this video by Ben Felix. They also have a podcast called Rational Reminder, which is a very, it's it's definitely dull. It's not like funny, but it's very good information. And they also talk about stuff that like doesn't necessarily have to do with investing, which is kind of neat. But this video in particular talks about how out of the premiums that we know about, uh, like small companies being a higher return, like risk adjusted, than other like larger companies, it doesn't really hold up scientifically or like in the research. So other things hold up more true, like such as value and momentum, but momentum is kind of hard to capture with transaction costs. So mostly it just comes down to value if you're going to specifically target a some sort of like risk factor, right? Other than like market beta, right? So, but the problem with that is when you use that data, it assumes that you're using like an index fund, like a low cost index fund to get exposure to like every small cap. So like a small cap index fund. But that's not what this guy's doing. He is going for specifically small cap companies that seem to be in like some weird niche. It's like, okay, we already have wipes and diapers, but here's this company, Honest, and it sells the same thing, but at a premium for pretty much no reason. And he thinks that's gonna make him a billionaire somehow. Or same thing with Tattooed Chef, where it's gonna take frozen food and then, well, let's just make it vegan and then add a premium onto it and then still lose money and like not have any like profit margin at all. So in that way, it doesn't make sense because once you go to small cap companies, the way that their returns are distributed vastly changes. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here on Tastyworks. The difference between an index fund's distribution and a tattoo trucker's random distribution given option prices. So just as a like prerequisite here, a lot of people are trying to I see like people like Jeremy or me, Kevin, try to predict literally just price action with Fibonacci's or fucking bullshit, and you have the one like the most liquid marketplace ever designed, computed for you here on this Tastyworks platform, and it shows you the distribution of that asset given the option prices. So unless you just think the option prices are completely wrong, which historically they're pretty fucking accurate, this is like the distribution. So over the next 2 years, this is the distribution curve. You're looking at this light blue line right here. This is the distribution curve for the S&P 500. So notice how it's not like a standard bell curve that looks like this, where it's kind of even on both sides. This is what we'd call a normal distribution. The S&P 500 is not like that. It's sort of wider over here on the upside, and that's because there's this thing called positive drift, which has something to do with inflation and a few other things, but it's not a normal distribution. So take note of what this looks like. This is why you invest in index funds, is because we get a very favorable distribution, right? So now if we look at Tattoo Trucker's Taint, um, look at the distribution for this. So the idea that like small cap companies absolutely have more growth. However, when you take each individual company and you try to cram them in a portfolio, you get this distribution because we're going to combine each of these into his portfolio of just share diluting trash. And instead of getting a distribution that looks like the S&P 500, we get this one. And as you can see, the majority of the distribution is, I mean, below its the $10 like IPO price, or the whatever it's called, SPAC price. I think it was a SPAC. I'm not too sure. But the majority of the distribution is below $10, right? But there's this tiny part of the curve where 2 years from now it might be, $25, and that's just what they're pricing in today. And this distribution curve might not be completely accurate because, as you can see, the options are not the most liquid thing in the world. We have a bid and ask of like 250 to 360, so it might not be the most accurate thing, but the idea is that if you're going to target a specific risk premium, such as small caps, or I guess it would be called size, which isn't even robust, as stated by Ben Felix here in the data, that it's not like statistically significant like outperformance than something else. You're better off going for something like value, but that assumes that you're buying every small cap company. So now what he's essentially doing is going for he's essentially just chucking money at lottery tickets here. That's a good way to describe it. And he might get very lucky, but the way that these companies are situated in the marketplace just tells me that there's just zero chance, because it's not like it's a new product. They all create products that exist, but they just put some like liberal magicry on it, and they're like, oh, now it's at a premium because it's vegan or because it's natural, right? And that's not going to hold up. There's no way that's going to hold up. It's just very weird. So I encourage you to watch this video. He explains it a lot better than I do. But yeah, this guy's a fucking clown. Like, he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. I think that's all I have to say about that. So, toodaloo.